everybody, my name is Shoelace, filling in for Sue, and today we're going to be unboxing the Logitech G710 Plus. Okay, out of the box, now we have our keyboard. As you can see, it's fully packaged, and behind it, if I can pull my fingers out, is the cord. 2 USBs are going to be needed to slot it into the back of the computer, and that will allow the computer to run. Although this does take 2 away from you in the back, it does give you 1 on the keyboard itself, so don't worry about that. And over here we have the manual, which is useful for all of those people who have never used a computer before in their life. Underneath we have the wrist rest. So yeah, it's a wrist rest. I don't know much else to say on that. So yeah, I was planning on recording this scene. I really don't know how I allowed this to happen. The cat just, yeah, I guess it'll just sit there for a really long time, and okay, there. Okay, now that the cat is out of the way, let's take a look at it outside the box. What you will notice is that it has 110 key anti-ghosting, which means it's just really good for all of you hardcore gamers. Another thing that it has is 26 key rollover, which basically means that you could faceplant directly into the keyboard and nothing would make a difference. Every single key would be registered. As you can see, it has a gaming mode switch that will prevent you from being alt-tabbed by the Windows key. You know, the macros, as you can see, are highlighted and right next to the WSD, so it's very easy to access and very easily programmable. I will show you that later. Another thing to note is that every single one of these keys is mechanical, so you're never going to have the flaws that the other one would have, because as many of you know, many mechanical keyboards that aren't fully prompted will have just like some keys will just be membrane and some other keys might not be, so you know, it's nice that they went all the way for this one. Over here we have the arrow keys, which have the same finish as the WSD keys, which means they'll last longer, as seen in my last video. Over here you have the sound wheel. This is very useful, one of my favorite features about the last few keyboards that I've mentioned. So yeah, it's very nice. It's very nice indeed. You know, I really appreciate not having to mash a button. Number pad is quite standard. The mute button is easily accessible right next to the sound, and of course you have the media controls up to the top right. You'll notice that it has a very glossy finish, which is really, it's actually a real gloss finish. It's not one of those fake ones that you might see around. Over here you will notice the backlighting buttons. This is very useful for the keyboard. I will show you in action when I actually have it plugged in. But basically what this does is that this will control the WASD keys, while this button will control the rest of the keys backlighting, so that you can light them individually. Next to them are obviously the media buttons that I also mentioned previously. So, you know, it's nice that all the functions are all in one tablet, and as you can see right below my fingers are the lights that represent which task is on at the moment. Okay, now that that's all done, let's take a look at the back of the keyboard. Okay, let me just flip this around here 1 second. Okay, on the back we have our kickstands for angling the keyboard. Then we have our rubber finishings at the bottom, and then of course there's the standard audio track in a lot of these gaming keyboards that allow you to run a wire through underneath your keyboard so that it's not hanging over your arm. If I angle this right, okay, there's the USB port that the keyboard gives you. However, that's only bringing one forward because it takes 2 USBs in the back to keep this thing operational, which is it's kind of a disadvantage for this keyboard, but it just brings one forward basically, so that's quite useful. Okay, here it is fully set up with the keyboard. As I said before, I am debuting the lighting settings, which will light just the WASD keys and the arrow keys, and you can control them separately, so you know, it's a very nice feature to have. I personally like to just keep the WASD keys slightly brighter than the rest, but have them still visible so that I can use the control and shift keys. Now, lit up, we are going to take a look upon the Logitech gaming software. As I said in my previous video, this software is amazing. It allows you to assign macros to different types of games, so you can go from PlanetSide 2 to Fallout 3 with different macros every single time, and you don't need to keep on going back into the program and reprogramming each and individual macro. Now, as you can see, each one of these things has its own key settings. Up top, there is a recording button, which is quite useful. Basically, what you do is you just press it, the little red light will come on, and then you press whatever buttons you need to be macroed, and then it will be set into whatever key you requested earlier. So it makes recording macros very easy to do on the fly. Here I am trying to focus my camera on the MX Browns. This is the type of mechanical keyboard it is. Basically, these keys are very, very quiet. I mean, they are the most quiet mechanical keys you'll find. So if the clackiness of the MX Blues are kind of irritating to you, then this is the way to go. You'll also notice that on the bottom of the key, there's that little black circle. That will really silence it. It muffles the sound so that when you bottom out the key, it actually allows like a very, very, very solid softening. You'll also notice that each individual key is backlighted a lot more appropriately than the G19S, because the lights on each key are separate. And to the wrist rest. This wrist rest is similar to the G19S. It is made of that same anti-hydro material. It is just very useful. It will keep your wrists very unsweaty. That's what's important. Okay, now I'm just going to represent some disadvantages and some advantages of the keyboard now that I've had it for a good amount of time. What I would like to say is that the keys are really well. I mean, they're really well designed. They're nice and quiet, just like the advertising says. I'm very impressed with how quiet they are. The only disadvantage of the keyboard, I think, is it doesn't have as much macros as the G19S, but it does have a fair amount of macros, and with the different macro settings, you have up to amount of around 18, I think it was. So it's good amounts. I really can't say too many bad things about the keys. Part of me wishes that it was a little bit more unique, so to say, but all in all, it's a very nice keyboard, and yeah, there's not very much bad about it.
I've not been so. Have an excellent day.
Please subscribe, like this video if you thought it was good, and maybe, just maybe, if enough people subscribe to Zool Modding Done Right, then I will come out from hiding.